Okay, I just found some information. Kansas, you guys just had 60 plus people die in a horrific plane crash. But did you know 11 months ago, Chris Kobach, the Attorney General for Kansas, actually filed a lawsuit against the FAA for their DEI hires? You can't make this up. He basically said lives are going to be lost over the fact that the FAA would rather hire somebody based on their skin color or their sexual preference versus their ability to do this job. Now, you could say that he put two and two together, he basically predicted it, whatever you want to say. But this man was on top of it because, guys, he filed a lawsuit saying this is not all right. Not only is it basically reverse racism, but you're hiring people who are not qualified to do one of the most dangerous, intellectually pressured jobs in America. And you're hiring them just because they're coming out of HBUs or they, are Hispanic. Watch.
Deputy Administrator at the Federal Aviation Administration. We are looking for the best and brightest to join us as air traffic controllers. We need a diverse group.
Listen, folks, I didn't want to go this route, especially so soon after the horrific incident in Washington, D.C., when a military craft crashed into an airliner, causing a bunch of casualties.
Of air traffic controllers to bring distinct perspectives to handle the ever-changing aerospace landscape. I'm calling on students and alumni from HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions, and tribal colleges to apply now to become air traffic controllers.
Here is what Kansas's Attorney General said 11 months ago on Fox News. Get ready. Guys, this really is fixing to blow your mind.
11 Republican attorneys general sending a letter to the FAA administrator warning the agency's DEI hiring practices are putting millions of travelers at risk. Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach joins us now. Sir, thanks for being with us. I want to know, what DEI practices are you identifying that you think are most concerning?
Well, it really began in October of 2022 when the FAA announced its 5-year plan for hiring. And in it, it said that it would change its hiring practices in order to achieve more diversity, specifically racial diversity, in its workforce. And then that continued with multiple symposia on this, putting into place this new hiring practice. And they continue to talk about their new hiring practices. And all of this has happened during the same period last summer when the United States Supreme Court said that any racial discrimination is unconstitutional when it's done by a government entity. In that case, it was, government subsidized universities, but that's certainly the case with the FAA as well.
Given the unconstitutional issues that you just raised, are you hoping to get a response from this letter, or is there anything besides sending this letter that you were hoping to achieve?
We are hoping to get a response, and we're hoping that the FAA in its response will change its hiring practice, go back to what it did before, and that is hire simply based on skill. I mean, I think it's outrageous that the FAA would not only be doing this, but apparently proud that it's making passenger safety take a back seat to diversity. I think all of us would probably agree that whether it's flying the plane or the FAA air traffic controller guiding the plane into the runway, or for that matter, a doctor performing a complicated surgery, we don't care what race the person is. We just want the most skilled person doing it because lives depend on it. And the FAA seems to be turning away from that common sense way of thinking.
Watch that. What do you think? Do you think that the FAA should be on the line, that people should be sued that were in positions of power who intentionally hired people not qualified to be air traffic controllers? In November of 2024, I found a job seeking new air traffic controllers on a site. So I looked. Here's what you used to have in qualifications to even apply for air traffic controller. Look how much experience, like 52 weeks of actual experience to even apply to be trained for FAA, air traffic controller. Since, they had a shortage, what they did was drop any past experience and basically say, hey, anybody that's got any, post-secondary at all, willing to change your location and go to school, you can apply. It also does say you have to speak English clearly enough to be understood. What? Now, I know we don't know exactly what happened, and folks, y'all know how I feel. I don't really think we're ever going to find out. I know people are telling me, Sam, there were 3 military, one of which was a female, even though she wasn't supposed to be controlling the plane, practicing, getting their hours, they were out, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, even if those people were in the helicopter, and they could have been, doesn't mean they were controlling it. The documentation and the proof I gave you guys today should leave nobody even thinking it's not possible that this helicopter was being controlled completely by AI. Having said that, I have begun to dig into some of the voice boxes and recordings of things that were going on in the air traffic controller tower. As more information comes out, I will share it with you guys. But I had to share this with you. This man knew it was going to happen. Kansas, that's where the plane came from. You can't make this up. The Kansas Attorney General 11 months ago said, this is going to happen. I'm filing a lawsuit to try to stop it. Fast forward 11 months, it is a plane leaving Kansas, Wichita, Kansas, that gets hit. So whether it was air traffic, whether it was the military, whether or not it was the person, the pilot of the plane, we don't know. But what I am telling you guys is you simply can't make up the coincidences of what's happening. So rather than knee-jerk scream, you're being racist, when somebody says DEI is a bad idea, maybe people need to sit down and listen to the experts, because hiring somebody off skin color, sex, or sexual preference over somebody else who is able to do the job better isn't smart. That's not how you run a good company. It's definitely not how you run a country. I'm not the only one saying it. So is Trump.
And ideas, and I think we'll probably state those opinions now, because over the years I've watched as things like this happen, and they say, well, we're always investigating, and then the investigation 3 years later, they announce it. We think we have some pretty good ideas. But we'll find out how this disaster occurred, and we'll ensure that nothing like this ever happens again. The FAA and the NTSB and the U.S. military will be carrying out a systematic and comprehensive investigation. Our new Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, his second day on the job, and psychologically superior people were allowed to qualify for air traffic controllers. That was not so prior to getting there. When I arrived in 2016, I made that change very early on because I always felt this was a job that, and other jobs too, but this was a job that had to be superior intelligence and safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first, and they put politics at a level that nobody's ever seen, because this was the lowest level. Their policy was horrible, and their politics was even worse. The highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are. It matters intellect, talent, the word talent. They have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses. You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it. But we'll restore faith in American air travel.
Thank you, God. This country is going back to merit-based hiring. Maybe things like this will stop happening, guys. 60+ people lost their lives. And chances are, if they'll be honest with this, it was either the military doing some jacked up, ignorant AI testing, or it was somebody that simply could not do the job properly. And it's a shame. You wouldn't want to lose your life to somebody that's not qualified for a job. You really wouldn't. I love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video, because it just kind of blew my mind. I'm thumbing through some research for a video for tomorrow, and there it is. The Kansas Attorney General filing suit against the FAA of all people for DEI hires 11 months before the worst plane crash Kansas has ever seen. This is horrific. It shouldn't be happening like this in America. This is America, guys. You should be safe everywhere you go.